Hey everybody, this is Geoff Stockton again. Here with lesson number 2 in the jazz guitar lesson series I'm doing. Today I want to talk about the melodic minor scale and its applications in jazz. So the melodic minor scale, if you're not already familiar, is basically a major scale with a minor third. All the rest of the notes are just like it would be a major scale. So I'm going to do this in A. I've got A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and G sharp. Now that doesn't sound very jazzy at all on its surface, and you're probably like, what's this guy talking about? But I swear this is used all the time, and once you start hearing some of the other modes of the scale, it's going to make a lot of sense. First up, I want to quickly dispel a myth about the melodic minor scale, and that's this whole concept of the melodic minor scale moving up. When we're ascending, we're using a major 6 and 7, and then when we're descending, we're using a minor 6 and 7. That's not the case at all. It never was. I'm posting a video at the same time here, pretty much, dealing with that myth, talking about where it came from. So if you're a history buff, check it out. If you're not, don't bother with it. So yeah, right now I just want to get straight to the good stuff. So first I'm going to talk for a minute about the first mode of it, which we just heard how it sounds. This is used over 2 jazz chords very commonly. One of them is the A minor chord with a major 7. So A minor, major 7, that's the kind of accepted terminology for it, which I think sounds really stupid. I like to call it A minor augmented. And the reason I call it that is because it's a C major, or it's a C augmented triad. I've got C, E, and G sharp there, which make up a C augmented chord. C is the relative major of A, so if I just put the relative minor in the bass, that's what I get. A lot of people throw on the 9th, then you get the Dr. Evil chord. Here's the actual Dr. Evil voicing. I can't help but do that. So, which can really get in the way of your playing. That's one of the chords that we use it over, whether it's just major or minor, major 7, or minor augmented as I call it, or minor 9 augmented, minor 9, major 7. So I'm considering that one chord. Whether or not the 9th is in there is trivial, trite. So the other chord that we find this over a lot is minor 6 chords. So right there I've got a minor chord, and I'm just adding in, that's an A minor chord, so I'm adding an F sharp as my 6. Your 6 is always a whole step above your 5th. If you don't already know that, go back to school. No, just you know, really look at your scales closely, because that stuff is, you know, the key. It's all scales. Everything comes from scales. So anyway, yeah, it's your minor 6 chord. In this case, I'm voicing it just open on the A string. So from the A string up to the E string, 0, 4, 5, 5, 5. So I'm barring across the 5th fret for those top 3 strings. So yeah, sometimes you'll hear people kind of vamp between those 2 chords. One good example is, I believe it's called Senior Blues by Horace Silver. Really almost a spooky kind of sound, but that's the scale that fits that like a glove. The melodic minor scale, mode 1. So, and that's the one name for it, is the melodic minor scale for that mode. Now for the 4th mode. The 4th mode gives you basically a root, a 2nd, a 3rd, a sharp 4th, a 5th, a 6th, and a flat 7th. As a result, it's commonly referred to as the Lydian Dominant or Lydian Flat 7 scale, also known as the overtone scale or sometimes the overtone dominant scale. I'm not going to tell you where that name comes from right now. I don't want to get us too far off track. It takes a minute to get used to the sound of this one, but it's used a lot. It could be used just over 9th chord. Right now I could use D9 and use the D melodic, or sorry, the A melodic minor scale over it, which would be treating it as D Lydian Flat 7, Lydian Dominant, whatever you want to call it. Now, that's really the key note, is that sharp 4 or sharp 11 if we're, you know, thinking in terms of chord tones. And okay, so I'm gonna, this D9 chord I'm fingering as from the A string 5 4 5 5. Now I can bar that with my ring finger if I want. I'm gonna use my pinky though, so I can bar with my first finger all the way over to the high E string, also at the 4th fret. So the first finger's playing the D string, F sharp note, and this G sharp note now against the D. And that's that really floaty, dreamy sounding chord. Just to give you like a couple contexts for it. Let's see. So right there I did a flat 6 in the key of A minor, to a 5 and then a 1, and then instead of the 5, which in that case I used an E7 sharp 9, it could have been whatever sort of E7 altered chord, I'm using this B flat, and I'm still using that same voicing. I could have gone up here and done this voicing, but I'm trying to keep it simple for the sake of instruction right now. So, and that's resolving to A minor. So that's serving as a substitution there for E7. I'm going to be talking about tritone subs. There's probably plenty of YouTube videos about it, but I'll just give you my take on it sometime in the near future. So that's mode 4. One of the cool features of the 4th mode, the Lydian Dominant, is that you get a major triad on the 1, and you also get a major triad on the 2. So you get these two major triads right next to each other, which usually we'd only find, like, you know, as the 4 and the 5 chord of a major key. Now we can get that like on this dominant chord here, and you can hear how that's got a pretty neat sound. Right now I'm just playing E major arpeggio notes over a D9 chord. And that's one of those sort of otherworldly sounds that we get from the melodic minor. So that scale, you can basically use it over a normal D7 chord. I'm just saying D7 because we're in that key right now, but a normal 7th chord, a normal 9th chord, or a 9 sharp 11. Or even a 13th chord. I could do like D13, still use it over that. Or a 13 with a sharp 11, which I don't even know if you can voice that on a guitar anywhere. If you get rid of the 7th, I guess. But then it's hard to hear it as a dominant chord. So don't worry about that chord. So that's the 4th mode of the scale. Now you'll want to move on to the next part 2 of 2, where I'm going to talk about the other 2 modes that we find ourselves using with this scale here. So see you in a minute here.